Hello, my name is Jiso, and I'm reading Master Dōgen's Shōbōgenzō. And my voice is a bit rough. It's because I had lots of meetings yesterday. Oh, too much talking. Eternal blue depths, the moon in space. That's our last line. We're on paragraph 157 of Kokyo, the eternal mirror. Great Master Shinkaku of Sippo Mountain and Zen Master Enen of Sanshoin Temple are walking along when they see a group of apes. Thereupon Seppo says, "These apes are each backed with one eternal mirror." We must diligently learn these words in practice. Ape means monkey. How are the apes that Seppo sees? We should ask questions like this and make effort further, not noticing the passing of kalpas. Each is backed with one eternal mirror. Though the eternal mirror is the face of Buddhist patriarchs, at the same time, the eternal mirror, even in the ascendant state, is the eternal mirror. That it backs each individual ape does not mean that there are big mirrors and small mirrors according to individual differences. It is one eternal mirror. As to the meaning of backed, for example, we say that a painted image of Buddha is backed with what we stick behind it. When the backs of the apes are backed, they are backed with the eternal mirror. What kind of paste could have been used? To speak tentatively, the backs of monkeys might be backed with the eternal mirror. Is the back of the eternal mirror backed with monkeys? The back of the eternal mirror is backed with the eternal mirror, and the backs of monkeys are backed with monkeys. The words that each back has one face are never an empty teaching. They are the truth expressed as the truth should be expressed. So apes or eternal mirrors. Ultimately, what can we say? Are we ourselves originally apes? Or are we other than apes? Who can ask? Whether we are apes is beyond our knowledge and beyond the knowledge of others. Whether we are ourselves is beyond intellectual groping. Sancho says, "It has been nameless for successive kalpas. Why would you express it as an eternal mirror?" This is a mirror, a concrete instance, with which Sancho has certified his realization of the eternal mirror. For successive kalpas means before a mind or a moment of consciousness has ever appeared. It means the inside of a kalpa not having shown its head. Nameless describes the successive kalpas, sun faces, moon faces, and eternal mirror faces, and describes the face of the clear mirror. When the nameless is really the nameless, the successive kalpas are never successive kalpas. Given that the successive kalpas are not successive kalpas, Sancho's expression cannot be an expression of the truth. Instead, before a moment of consciousness has ever appeared, means today. We should train and polish without letting today pass in vain. Frankly, though the fame of this nameless for successive kalpas is heard on high, it expresses the eternal mirror as what? A dragon's head, or with a snake's tail? Seppo might now say to Sancho, "The eternal mirror, the eternal mirror." Seppo does not say that. What he says further is, "A flaw has appeared," or in other words, a scratch has emerged. We are prone to think, how could a flaw appear on the eternal mirror? At the same time, in saying that the eternal mirror has borne a flaw, Seppo may be calling the expression "it has been nameless for successive kalpas" a flaw. The eternal mirror described by "a flaw has appeared" is the total eternal mirror. Sanshō has not got out of the cave of a flaw appearing on the eternal mirror, and so the understanding which he has expressed is utterly a flaw on the eternal mirror. This being so, we learn in practice that flaws appear even on the eternal mirror, and that even mirrors on which flaws have appeared are the eternal mirror. This is the learning of the eternal mirror in practice. Just give me a moment, it's a bit cold. It's always good to have some blankets, isn't it? Every good Zendo has blankets somewhere. Sanshō says, "What is so deadly urgent that you are not conscious of the story?" The import of these words is, why are you in such a deadly hurry? We should consider in detail and learn in practice whether this deadly emergency is a matter of today or tomorrow, the self or the external world, the whole universe in 10 directions, or a concrete place inside the great kingdom of Tang. As to the meaning of story in the words, "you are not conscious of the story," there are stories that have continued to be told, there are stories that have never been told, and there are stories that have already been told completely. Now the truths which are in the story are being realized. Has the story itself, for example, realized the truth together with the earth and all sentient beings? It is never restored brocade. Therefore, it is not conscious. It is the non-consciousness of the man facing the royal personage. It is being face to face without consciousness of each other. It is not that there are no stories. It is just that the concrete situation is beyond consciousness. Non-consciousness is red mind in every situation, and further, not seeing with total clarity. Not seeing is hyphenated. It's talking about not seeing. Clear, not seeing, it says in the notes. Seppo says, "It is the old monk's mistake." Sometimes people say these words meaning, "I express myself badly," but the words need not be understood like that. The old monk means the old man who is master in his house. That is to say, someone who solely learns in practice the old monk himself, without learning anything else. Though he experiences 1,000 changes and 10,000 transformations, heads of gods and faces of demons, what he learns in practice is just the old monk's one move. Though he appears as a Buddha and appears as a patriarch at every moment and for 10,000 years, what he learns in practice is just the old monk's one move. Mistakes are his abundant jobs as temple master. Upon reflection, Seppo is an outstanding member of the order of Tokuzan, and Sanshō is an excellent disciple of Rinzai. Neither of the two venerable patriarchs is of humble ancestry. Seppo is a distant descendant of Saigen, and Sanshō is a distant descendant of Nangaku. That they have been dwelling in and retaining the eternal mirror is evidenced as described above. They may be in criterion for students of later ages. Seppo preaches to the assembly, "If the world is 10 feet wide, the eternal mirror is 10 feet wide. If the world is 1 foot wide, the eternal mirror is 1 foot wide." At this, Gensā, pointing to the furnace, says, "Tell me then, how wide is the furnace?" Seppo says, as wide as the eternal mirror. Gensar says, the old master's heels have not landed on the ground. He calls 10 feet the world is 10 feet. He sees 1 foot as the world as 1 foot. He describes the 10 feet of the present and describes the 1 foot of the present, never any other unfamiliar foot or tens of feet. When people study this story, they usually think of the width of the world in terms of countless and boundless 3,000 great thousand-fold worlds, or the limitless world of Dharma, but that is only like being a small self and cursorily pointing to beyond the next village. In taking up this world here and now, we see it as 10 feet. This is why Seppo says the width of the eternal mirror is 10 feet, and the width of the world is 10 feet. When we learn these 10 feet, here and now, we are able to see one concrete part of the width of the world. In other cases, when people hear the words eternal mirror, they envisage a sheet of thin ice, but it is not like that. The 10-foot width of the eternal mirror is at one with the 10-foot width of the world. But are the form and content of the eternal mirror and the world necessarily equal? And are they at one when the world is limitless? We should consider this diligently. The eternal mirror is never like a pearl. Never hold views and opinions about whether it is bright or dull, and never look at it as square or round. Even though the whole universe in 10 directions is one bright pearl, this cannot match the eternal mirror. So the eternal mirror, regardless of the coming and the appearance of foreigners or Chinese, is everything that happens through the length and breadth of this state of brilliance. But it is not numerous and not large. Width refers to the real quantity. It does not mean extent. Width means what is expressed as 2 or 3 ordinary inches and counted, for example, in 7s and 8ths. In calculation of the Buddha's truth, when we calculate it in terms of great realization or non-realization, we clarify a weight of 2 pounds or 3 pounds. And when we calculate it in terms of Buddhas and patriarchs, we realize 5 or 10 things. 1 unit of 10 feet is the width of the eternal mirror, and the width of the eternal mirror is one thing. Gensar's words, "How wide is the furnace?" are an unconcealed expression of the truth, which we should learn in practice for 1,000 years and for 10,000 ages. To look now into the furnace is to look into the furnace, having become a person who is who. When we are looking into the furnace, it is not 7 feet and it is not 8 feet. This story is not a tale of agitation and attachment. It is about the realization of a singular state in a fresh situation, as expressed, for example, what is it that comes like this? When the meaning of the words what amount of width has come to us, the what amount of width may be different from how wide as we have understood it hitherto. We must not doubt the fact of liberation at this concrete place. We must hear in Gensar's words the fundamental point that the furnace is beyond aspects and dimensions. Do not idly allow the one dumpling before you now to fall to the ground. Break it open. This is the effort. Do not allow the one dumpling before you now to fall to the ground. Seppo says, as wide as the eternal mirror. We should quietly reflect on these words. Not wanting to say the furnace is 10 feet wide, he speaks like this. It is not true that saying 10 feet would be the fit expression of the truth, whereas as wide as the eternal mirror is an unfit expression. We should research actions that are as wide as the eternal mirror. Many people have thought that not saying the furnace is 10 feet wide was unfitness of expression. They should diligently consider the independence of width. They should reflect that the eternal mirror is a concrete thing, and they should not let action, which is reality, pass them by. Seppo may be manifesting behavior in the way of the ancients, never falling into despondency. No, I think we'll leave it there. The next bit is yeah, we're moving on to how can polishing a tile make it a mirror. Okay, we'll leave it there. Thanks for listening.